What is going on, guys? Winner Kills here, and welcome to the fourth and final episode of One Deck One Month featuring Photon Galaxy Act 2. It is currently Saturday. It is almost 5 o'clock in the afternoon, which means the locals is not that far off from this current moment. And like I said, it's the fourth week. It means this is our last Saturday locals with the deck in the series. Now, as per usual with the series, I kind of hang on to the deck that I'm currently using for a few weeks after the end of the series, and I think that's probably still going to be the case with this deck, just because as tough as it's been to play it, right, and produce good results with it, I just don't want to give up on it just yet, because I've made some pretty good progress with the deck so far here in the last couple days here in the fourth final week, and it's kind of taking the deck to a new chapter, which is kind of fitting for the fourth and final week. If you remember way back in week 1, I kind of laid out the goals for each week, and I said the goal for the fourth week would be to reevaluate and see how much the deck has changed, and changed it has. And we'll go over the deck list here in just a moment, but I'd also like to remind you guys that if you have not donated to our current ongoing fundraiser, please consider doing so. That way we can help fight climate change and, of course, hit some of our donation incentives, which I will throw those up on the screen again. If we hit $250, I will do a giveaway, giving away cards, play mats, etc. If we hit $500, I will do a live workout stream on my Twitch link below. If we hit $750, I will do a community poll for you guys to decide what the next deck I play will be on One Deck One Month will be, and we'll do a whole voting process for that. And if we hit the grand goal of $1,000 raised for the Clean Air Task Force, I will start at some point a One Deck One Month for Earthbound Immortal. And yeah, I can't believe I'm saying that. So hopefully to help climate change, we hit the goal. But, you know, for me wanting to actually play Earthbound Immortal, hopefully we don't. But either way, please consider donating. It is a great cause, and they're a great organization doing some great work to, again, help fight the climate crisis we are all going through. And yeah, if you've already donated, thank you very much. If you cannot donate, like I've said in the past, please consider sharing this video around, or any of the videos that I posted over the past several weeks that have this fundraiser attached to it. The fundraiser will end 1 week after this video is uploading, so that is the final week. This is the final stretch, and hopefully we've come very far at this point. I just uploaded episode 2 as I'm recording this, so hopefully we've made some good progress by then. But yeah, that's that. Let's go ahead and hop in and talk about the deck, how it's changed, and the new ideas that we're trying here in week 4. All right, so the deck list. Let's take a look at it real quick because I do not have much time to talk about it. So there it is. As you can see, the Therion engine is in the deck. Hyper Galaxy is also in the deck. There's a higher count of Galaxy 100, Expedition, Thrasher, and also Afterglow, just to name a few of the differences. You might also notice Gigantic Champion Sargus and the Cyber Dragon Infinity package. Now, this is an idea that I've been wanting to try, and I haven't really implemented it, and just last night I got around to testing it, and I think it is yielding some pretty good results. And the Hyper Galaxy is kind of a, you know, we'll just see how it goes, but I think this list is going to perform pretty well. Some of the inspiration came from Team King of Games, who has been a long-time Photon Galaxy player, so some of the ideas from their list are in here, and we're going to give it a shot. I did, like I said, have some testing with this last night, some very brief testing, where I was able to work out the ratios in the main deck and the extra deck. The side deck is the only thing I'm really winging it on. I don't think the side deck is super solid, but I think it is good enough for our locals tonight, so I got to get out of here ASAP, and I do have a couple cards that I actually need to grab right when we get to locals. The third Galaxy 100 and a Gigantic Champion Sargus, because I don't have those. Some people I know, though, have them, and they're waiting for me at locals currently. So got to grab those and make sure that we get those in our deck before we start playing. And yeah, wish us luck. Week 4, baby. All right, we just wrapped up round 1. We ended up playing against Kashtira and didn't quite go the same as the last time we played against Kashtira. Person is definitely a little bit more familiar with the deck and how to play it, and they definitely made some misplays. We both made some misplays over the course of that match, but yeah, I mean, it was pretty straightforward. I'm not sure if I'll go over it or not. If I do, I will obviously go over it right now. So yeah, we are going to go over this round 1 cashier match, played against my friend Colin. And yeah, let's just go ahead and hop right into this one and take a look at it. Now, I did say that we both misplayed a little bit, and I went over and watched this one time prior to doing the commentary, and yeah, I definitely misplayed way more than I thought I did. So I lead by normal summoning the Photon Orbital, and my friend wanted to double check and read the card real quick. And I think I also have Afterglow plus Vanisher in hand, and it looks like Galaxy 100 as well. Can't really see the other cards currently. But they go ahead and imperm the orbital, and I think they did that, and they wanted me to mention this, but they misread the card and thought that the effect was just like on summon, but it's not. It just has to activate on in hand or field to equip to something, obviously, and get the search. So I then follow that up. I'm like, okay, imperm on that, sure, fine. Then we activate Vanisher. Vanisher's going to go ahead and grab us Galaxy Eyes. Vanisher stays still being one of the best extenders in the deck because it's a free level 4 body that gets us a search. And then we go into Galaxy Photon Dragon, which then, he's like, oh, that was probably the imperm. And yeah, I think imperming that there probably would have been good, assuming we had already used our normal summon. I don't think it would have stopped us maybe completely, but it definitely would have hurt quite a bit. So we then go ahead and follow that up by activating Galaxy 100. That is going to go ahead and bring out the Emperor. We'll dump Emperor, Special Emperor, then we're going to use Galaxy Soldier. Discarding the Galaxy Eyes, Afterglow, Chainlink 1 Soldier, Chainlink 2 Galaxy Photon Dragon. And then here we can go for a rank 8, and we're not going to go for number 90. We're not going to go for number 38. We are going to go for Gigantic Champion Sargus. I'm so glad this came up, like, literally game 1, round 1. The Therion cards already showing how good they can be. So we go into the rank 8, Gigantic Champion Sargus. While it's material, you can just add a Therion card. So we add the Therion Disc Coliseum, which is great because it'll give our board some protection in the battle phase, which is honestly the secret effect of the card that I totally forgot about. But it does come in clutch even in this matchup. Then we go and search out that beautiful Starlight Reggie. Activate the effect, equip the Photon Orbital that we normal summon. And this is a line that I've been seeing a lot, actually, where we normal summon the Orbital and then followed up with a Vanisher if we have Thrasher, right? Whatever it may be, or Advancer. And we don't have to worry about, like, using the equip effect to get a search right then and there. We can just go ahead and straight up overlay. And even if they do Imperm or Valor or Ash the Galaxy Photon Dragon, we can still detach the Orbital as cost. Which means we're getting it in the grave, which we can then, if we have access to the Therion engine, whether we open Disc Coliseum or we have a way to make a rank 8, or we just hard open Regulus, we can put Regulus on the field and get the Orbital out of grave and search and keep trying to extend. So it's really, really nice. And since we brought back the Emperor, we can actually go ahead and get an additional normal of a light monster here, which will kind of come in clutch. And I do decide to use the Orbital Search there on a copy of Advancer. So we go ahead and normal summon the Galaxy Summoner. And I'm like, yeah, we got our additional normal of light because we did bring out the Emperor. And I think I just bring out the Galaxy Eyes Afterglow here, because I was trying to think if there's a better line or a better play I could have taken, because I was trying to maybe go for like a line that involved making Blast Dragon, but I didn't want to spend too much time thinking about it, and I don't think I have Galaxy, or no, I do have Galaxy Eyes in hand, so I'm just trying to think what the play here would have been to possibly go for that. I think I would have, yeah, so the problem I think ended up being that I would have to overlay into Soul Flare to make room to make the Blast Dragon, but then I would have no way to put the Advancer on field. Unless I would have brought back Orbital with the Summoner, then I could have linked off the Summoner and the Dragon into Soul Flare, added back Afterglow, and then spec'd Advancer, made Blast Dragon, bought out Galaxy Eyes, and if I didn't use Afterglow's in-hand effect, then I could have done that there. So I could have ended on Regulus, Sargus, Blast Dragon, and number 90. So yeah, I think I actually did misplay this then. And that would have been good too, because I would have gotten the rip out of the extra deck while still going for that board. I mean, I still get there because I just special summon Galaxy Eyes via his own effect. And keep in mind, Summoner's gaining 500 attack because of Galaxy Photon Dragon, so I can tribute to special the Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. We get to look at the extra deck. Obviously, I'm going to take out the Arise Heart. I see he's going to be playing 2. And if we negate something on their turn using the Photon Lord, we can detach the Afterglow, bring out another Galaxy Eyes, and take out the other Arise Heart. I mean, there's still plenty of utility left in this extra deck. Probably the 100 banish sometimes feels a little lackluster because, like, you're not dealing so much damage to their extra deck. Like, usually getting rid of 2 things, and that's probably it. And unless those 2 things are absolutely crucial, like, then it just oftentimes doesn't feel like it's actually doing that much, so... He's going to go ahead and lead with Planet and then go to Fenrir here. Now, one other thing, too, when I was watching this back earlier, I was like, is there any other point where I could have gotten more value out of the Gigantic Champion's other effect, which basically says, when an Xyz monster detaches a material anywhere to activate its effect, you can target a card on the field or maybe on the opponent's field, either return it to the hand or destroy it. And I don't think I ever gave myself or just had a good opportunity to use that effect. He's going to add Rise Heart there off the Fenrir. I was really debating on negating that Unicorn there. I'm like, well, if he has, like, the punish follow-up of, like, having another cash name in hand, then that might be rough. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, I really wanted to negate Fenrir. I feel like Fenrir, like, hitting Fenrir low-key is not a bad thing, just because, like, the card applies a lot of pressure just from its battle phase effect, and then it's also searching out more extenders. Like, it seems like a very, very good card. More so than Unicorn sometimes. So they're going to go ahead and special summon the Arise Heart here, and then use the Arise Heart effect. I'm almost thinking maybe I could have negated this too. Like detached off of the Afterglow, or off the number 90 to negate and destroy the Arise Heart. New chain would be Fenrir, and then Sargus. Sargus would blow up the Fenrir, and then, you know, the Fenrir would banish probably the Regulus, honestly, and then he'd still be free to play, but maybe that wouldn't have been the move there. But yeah, so I think he's going to go for a rank 7 now. And I think it ends up being Big Eye, I want to say. Yeah, he ends up going for Big Eye here. And Big Eye is going to target, I think, Regulus. So I negate and destroy. I should have negated with the Regulus, just because that would have made it so his board wasn't open to make more plays. That was definitely a big mistake. I mean, he already has Birth in hand. And since I detached the Afterglow, we can bring out another Galaxy Eyes and rip the other Arise Heart. But yeah, he already has Birth in hand. So he's able to play Birth. And yeah, I think I negate the effect of Birth to bring out. To like summon one from grave or banished. But then he can still normal summon the Unicorn. And then Unicorn can go ahead and grab the Theosis. So, I mean, I'm trying to think of a way where maybe I could have, like, interacted with this board a little bit better. Ultimately, I'm thinking it's maybe not mattering so much, because he already had a lot of the good cards he needed in hand already. Like, the Birth being in hand already is just huge. Theosis is going to go ahead and bring out Scareclaw Cash here, which is also just a big threat of its own, but at least Fenrir is off the board, so that's good. So he's going to go Battle Phase. Attack over the Gigantic Champion, because all of his monsters right now are getting 400 attack. So I protect by dumping the Therion Bull to the graveyard. And just keeping this monster on field is just basically board presence. And then you go ahead and attack over it again. And then I get to use the Disc Coliseum effect, but he's also going to use the effect of Unicorn to look at the extra deck. And, you know, the one good thing about playing Zeus in there, or at least one Zeus, is it's always like the big red flag for the opponent. They're always going to get rid of the Zeus, which means you're probably always keeping your other good engine extra deck cards like C62 and 62. Your full armor package, which is a really good utility, and sometimes like the keys for going for game. You're never really like winning games because of Zeus in this deck. You're usually winning games just because you're OTKing outright. So he's going to go into Dark Arm Dragon of Annihilation and, you know, pop Galaxy Eyes. You can't pop the number 90, thankfully, because it is unable to be destroyed by card effects currently, because that was a Photon monster underneath. And he's going to, you know, banish Theosis, get Theosis back. And then he puts the Birth, or well, then he normal summons now the Ogre, because he hadn't normal summoned yet, because he special summoned the Unicorn. I don't know if I said he normal summoned that, but special summoned that. And yeah, I'm thinking maybe just leaving that Unicorn, that Big Eye in this field, probably would have made it a little bit more awkward for him to play. But he goes into the Zeus with one material, just because he can make another Zeus next turn if I don't get rid of it. And I start by putting Regulus on field. And this is where I make a huge misplay. So he goes ahead and uses like preparation and, you know, Fenrir on a new chain after using Regulus effects since it hit the board, and he gets Chainlink 1 Fenrir, Chainlink 2 Ogre, and then I chain Hyper Galaxy. I also forgot my number 90 search during his turn, so we can even just like, not even taking that into account. I misplaced so hard right here. I should have negated the Ash with the Regulus. I was so like caught up in wanting to keep the Orbital on field to get a search with that I completely overlooked the fact that had I let that Hyper Galaxy go through, that I absolutely had game on board 100%, and I just completely misplayed. I apologize. It would be cool to like go for an OTK right here, but I just couldn't make it happen. I literally just didn't see it. Like, I have like the brain of a goldfish right here, because I already have the Afterglow in hand, and I was thinking to myself after, I'm like, oh, if he didn't have the Ash for that Hyper Galaxy, it would have been game. And I'm just thinking now, watching it back, I'm like, I had an Omni Negate on field. I could have just stopped the Ash in general, and we would have just gone for Galaxy Eyes would hit the board, Afterglow hits the board, 62, C62, and that's just all she wrote right there. Because we definitely have more than enough damage on board to go for game. We wouldn't even really need C62 since he's got a rank 12 on field. We gain a bunch of attack from that. So I kind of pivot and do a slightly different play here where I go into Infinity. So I have double Omni Negate, but it's not that powerful considering he already has a decent board established. And this is also where I could have gone for game 2 had I been playing Galaxy Zero, because you saw me wanted to search the trance there, and I'm like, oh, the trance would be game, but wait, I already summoned a non-Photon or Galaxy monster, and that of Regulus at the very start of the turn. So had I had Galaxy Zero, I could have used Wizard to bring out a Galaxy Eyes and summon the Afterglow from hand again and try to go for an OTK, but that wasn't an option. But turns out, never needed Galaxy Zero even to begin with. I just needed to use my Omni Negate correctly there, and we would have had games. So I do unfortunately have to pass. I take his Ogre with the CDI, and we just kind of pass turn there. And I think he's going ahead and using Birth, and there was a little bit of a miscommunication, I think. Well, that might happen a little bit later, but first he's going to go into the battle phase and attempt to swing over the Regulus, and we do protect with Disc Coliseum, dumping another Disc Coliseum, which you can't do. I wanted to double check that. So we get to keep that Omni Negate in field, and then now he's going to go ahead and use Birth, and I think there might have been some confusion. There was definitely a little bit of miscommunication. He wanted to know whether or not it can negate cards or effects, or just cards or just effects, but it can do both. So I actually do end up negating the Birth, because I was like, oh wait, you're using Birth here? Yeah, I'm definitely negating that 100%, just checking that it negates effects and not just cards, since Birth is already face up in the field, obviously. And he's going to, like, plan B, go into another Zeus, which I do negate with the Regulus, and then he's going to basically go into, you know, Rise Heart into Unicorn into Theosis, Theosis into Fenrir. And at this point, I'm literally top decking, and spoiler alert, the one Cyber Dragon Infinity is not gonna be enough. You could also just make Big Eye too, I'm also realizing, and just take the Infinity too if you really wanted to. But he's just gonna go for Draco Sack, out it that way, and pass turn I just top deck, I think, Rhoda, and that is just gonna be it right there. So unfortunate that I misplayed there. At least I caught it though, so you guys don't have to make the same mistake at some point in the future if you do decide to play this deck competitively. But yeah, that's game 1. Let's take a look at game 2. Alright, so here we are in game 2. As you might expect, I am going first here. Opening hand, I have Soldier, double Galaxy Eyes, Emperor, Advancer. So I have to start with the Galaxy Soldier, and I'm just like really hoping my opponent doesn't have an Imperm right here, because that would probably spell disaster with the current hand that I have. So I go Chainlink 1 Soldier, Chainlink 2 Emperor. Emperor will thankfully chain block from Ash here, which I'm not even sure if he ended up having. But he does have Change of Heart in hand, which is really strong against an Ixie's base deck. So we're going to go ahead and search out the Wizard with that. And yeah, we go ahead and use Wizard effect. And I think my opponent also has Dimension Shifter, which they're also waiting to drop right now. And I'm not sure why they waited again. I think it had something to do about playing around talents. They said they probably should have shotgunned it in the standby phase, but they weren't really sure if my deck was, because they'd really never played much against Photon Galaxy, which is understandable. As the summoner brings back Wizard, we make a level 8 just so we can go into a quick number 90 to play around Nibiru. And then we go into the rank 4, which allows us to either add or send. And I'm assuming once he sees the fact that they can also send, he's going to fire off the D-Shifter there. And I actually just don't negate the D-Shifter. Like I said, I was just watching this back a few minutes ago, and I was like, wait a second.
I just didn't negate D-Shifter there, and I'm trying to give myself the benefit of the doubt, my past self here. I'm like, okay, I'm either doing this because A, I can still end on a better board without worrying about using the number 90 negate. So if he does have Nibiru, I still have this top for it. And I think that's what I was really worried about, is him also having Nibiru. So I used the Galaxy Photon Dragon to search out Expedition, and I summoned that Photon Advancer here, which is coming in very, very clutch. Could also just been a Vanisher too. But we can make it a level 8 right now because of Galaxy Photon Dragon's effect, and that's going to allow us to use Expedition, since it is now a level 5 or higher Photon or Galaxy monster, to go and bring out another one from the deck. And I bring out Afterglow. I don't know why I brought out Afterglow. There really is no reason to bring out Afterglow. If anything, I think I could have benefited more from just putting a Galaxy Eyes underneath it. And then I go for 62 and C62, and then I'm like, oh wait, don't have Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon underneath it, so I'm like, yeah, do you mind if I don't do that? And yeah, so we just go ahead and bring out number 38. So just a classic number 90, number 38 end board there. And luckily this wasn't like a bigger event, or I would have just clowned myself by summoning 62 into C62 without it even being unaffected by card effects, or unaffected by monster effects rather. But if my opponent would have like gone to the battle phase, we could have just like used the effect quickly to detach the Afterglow. Which, yeah, I don't know if Afterglow needs to hit the grave. But yeah, it could have been tragic though. Luckily, my friend Colin is a nice guy, and like I said, we both misplayed a little bit, quite a bit actually here and there. First, it was the Regulus not negating the Ash, and then almost just committing to C62 there. So he special summons Fenrir, grabs Unicorn, normal summons the Ghost Mourner, goes into Baron. Baron attempts to pop the number 38. I chain number 90 negate. He chains Baron to negate, and I'm like, all right, well, there goes pretty much my entire board, and then he has Change of Heart to follow that up. And this is pretty much just where we lose the game, honestly. Like, there's really no other way to put it. I quickly chain the effect to search, and I grab the Galaxy Soldier for follow-up here, and then he's going to go into the battle phase and attack over the Galaxy Photon Dragon. I was like, imagine if I had Galactic Karibo right there. I mean, I know that's like a battle trap, but it'd be kind of interesting to have it in that situation. I don't know if it would have helped us because I can't remember the effect offhand, but I got Galaxy Soldier here. I'm like, oh, all we got to worry about is the Zeus, right? At least that's all I know that he has. That's a problematic card for us right now. I'm like, if he just Zeus right here would be game, but he also just has Ash anyways, and the Ash on the Wizard is more than enough without even taking into account does Zeus. So that is our round 1 match. We lose 2-0 to Kashtira, but it's fine though. My friend ended up getting top 32 at YCSLA with the deck, so congrats to him on that. The deck profile should be going up in the next couple days. And yeah, shout outs to C Goody. And yeah, that's round 1. Let's continue on and see how the rest of the tournament went. Alright, time for round 3 recap. We just played against Trap Trick, and it was the same Trap Trick player, one of the same Trap Trick players we played against last week that we beat, and we were able to beat them again 2-0 this time. It went relatively smooth, honestly. The one game he had bottomless set that I think he could have used, that he never actually ended up using. I'm not sure if he just didn't realize that, because, you know, sometimes you forget those things. But yeah, we came, Cyber Dragon Infinity came up, Hyper Galaxy came up again. Also game 2 I sat it out a Galaxy Eyes, and that was a bad idea. I'm never going to do that again because it came up twice where I couldn't search off a Vanisher, and that made a Blast Dragon play not like viable. And it could have cost me, potentially, if he had a Holotay Engrave, I wouldn't have been able to go for game, but if I would have had the Galaxy Eyes, I would have been able to go for game on board, but I wasn't able to search one. And then I couldn't use an Afterglow before because I didn't have a Galaxy Eyes left in my deck. So, I mean, it seems good on paper to side out. Maybe going first it's better, but going second, definitely not. Because you just want those targets available. But yeah, pretty straightforward match. Nothing too crazy. And we might go over it just because, like, I don't know if we went over round 1, but if we don't go over that, we'll go over round 1. And then I'll see you guys after round 4. Alright everybody, here we are in the 4th and final round of the tournament. If we win this, we can go 3-1, earn store credit, and donate even more money to the Clean Air Task Force. And we ended up playing against Math Mech. So let's jump right into this. There is the die roll. My opponent rolls a 6 to our 9, so we do decide to go first. And in the opening hand here, we have, looks to be Hyper Galaxy, Nibiru, Wizard, Vanisher, and Galaxy Trance. So a pretty okay hand, just a pretty weak one to begin with. At least it has Hyper Galaxy plus Nibiru to back it up. My opponent ends up shotgunning Lancia, which was a little strange. I think maybe, you know, just probably doing it preemptively for cashier matchups, or he doesn't know what I'm playing, so I don't blame him for doing that. So I normal summon the Wizard and special summon the Vanisher. I'm trying to think if there's anything that Lancia actually turns off in our deck, and I don't think there is anything offhand. It might turn off Galaxy 100 actually, so we can't banish from his extra deck, but that's probably about it. And even if that is the case, we could still summon from the extra deck. And then we you know, use Wizard effect, and that gets hit with Ash. And like, it's a little rough because I was trying to think, you know, was there any other play possible to make there, you know, because we had two options. We either use the Wizard effect to search, or we go into the rank 4 Galaxy Photon Dragon and attempt to search or send, and that gets Ash, and we're pretty much both in the same spot, whatever line we decide to take. The only other route there was to take was either to make Soul Flare add back Wizard and have the interruption with Nibiru, Hyper Galaxy, and the well, actually, this is a super heads up play. I mean, it is and it isn't a super heads up play, right? Like, if in a situation like this where we know our hand dies to Ash or Imperm pretty much at like any point, maybe it would have been smarter, especially since we've already hard opened Galaxy Trance. A better line here might have actually been, well, I mean, it still dies to Ash either way, because yeah, it actually doesn't matter, because what I was trying to think of is, like, if we go for Blast Dragon, we can bring out the Galaxy Eyes and then link into Soul Flare, add back the Wizard, and then we could Galaxy Trance now that the Galaxy Eyes was in gray, but that still gets ashed. If we had another level 4 extender, that would have been a line we could have taken, or we just make, you know, Galaxy Photon Dragon. But yeah, what I'm saying doesn't really matter right now. It was just a hypothetical, but yeah, Ash at literally any point, no matter what we do, just kills us there, and that's just the fault of the deck, right? That's just how it is. So my opponent is going to start his turn by activating Small World, and this is where, you know, I realize he is on Math Mech. He's going to go ahead and go right to Circular. I think he revealed like Addition into Gamma into Circular. Circular effect, go ahead and send Sigma. And I'm like, I hope what I have is going to be enough. I don't remember how good Nibiru is against this deck. Typically, it's been such a long time since I've consistently played against it. I think it was last popular when I was playing Rika. But yeah, he summons the rank 4 Searcher, and I'm like, that has 2,000 attack. And I can just go ahead and freely delete this card right now by using Hyper Galaxy. And that's exactly what I end up doing, deny him a search. And we go ahead and bring out the Galaxy Eyes Police Department. So from here, I'm like, you got to have an extender to keep going, right? And even he does have a decent extender, right? Which he does have, you know, Addition, I think, into a normal summon, and then we follow that up with Nibiru. I put his token in attack position because, like, we have the Trance in hand. I'm like, I just got to have the easy OTK set up next turn. And he just passes on that. I'm like, all right, cool. We have Galaxy Eyes engraved now because of the Nibiru, and we have Trance already. The token's in attack position. It doesn't, like, matter how much attack it has, so long as it has, like, less than 3k, I think. We're good. And we just go over with C62, and we double because the Afterglow, and tell my opponent, like, yeah, this is going to go up to, like, insane amounts of damage here. I think, like, 11,200 damage is, like, how much it goes up to. And yeah, that's just game 1 in a nutshell. So let's go ahead and quickly take a look at game 2. So game 2, I think my opening hand looks to be Hyper Galaxy, Summoner, or that might be Emperor, Vanisher, 100, and one other card. Yeah, looks like Emperor, yeah, and one other card there. Let's slow this down a little bit. My opponent opened up Signet Mining, Small World. They also had Gamma too. I think they had Ash. Yeah, they have Super Factorial, Ash, and Small World in hand. They have Signet Mining. So they did have, I think, everything they needed to go full combo. Since he already hard opened the trap, I'm pretty sure he could have set up Ibly Lock plus Super Factorial. But my opponent was very new to Math Mech. I think this was his first time playing it at locals. So, I mean, yeah, that just kind of goes without saying, right? it's going to be a little bit easier for us to pilot against this deck if it's not being piloted against somebody who's like super familiar with it. And that's no fault of my opponent, right? But we kind of got off easy here is what I'm trying to say. So he just ends up going for Lingeribo with the Ibly lock, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to put this into attack and crash it. I'll gladly take the 300 damage. And I'm like, okay, now we can't OTK, which is a nice thing that our deck can do. But we have to try to make something work here. And he's got that Ash in hand, which I guarantee he'll probably just go ahead and Ash the Wizard, which is a very good Ash. Searches like pretty much a lot of the best cards in the deck, mainly just Galaxy Soldier. But we do have 100, and 100 isn't able to do much here. Actually, one thing I think I could have done. Now, hold on, don't tell me. Yeah, so the play here was, I don't know, or no, is Emperor already in my hand? Yeah, okay. Emperor's already in my hand. I was going to say, if Emperor wasn't in my hand, there was no way we do this play. There's literally no way. Because we would obviously just send Emperor summons himself. And no, I'm not playing 2 Emperor. Bad idea. Literally bad. Don't do it. It's not worth it for situations like this. But we'd obviously dump Emperor, summon Emperor, make Soul Flare, add back the Wizard, normal summon Wizard, grab Trance, and make a rank 8, right? Make like a number 90 or something. But I think my philosophy there for dumping the Photon Orbital was simply because if I draw a Disc Coliseum or if I draw a Regulus, we're already set to go. We've got like the perfect target in grave to be able to do something. And luckily it didn't matter, right? My opponent just draws another Small World for turn and admits defeat. My next draw was a Galaxy 100. So my hand was literally so bad. What was the other set that I was a Hyper Galaxy? Yeah, I literally couldn't do anything either. So like the fact that my opponent scooped, like he probably could have he would have lived another turn, because I would have literally, all I would have done is just attacked with Vanisher and passed. And just hope he doesn't like top deck like literally any monster that he could probably just bridge into circular. The only thing he would have to play through though is a Hyper Galaxy, and I'd probably hit the rank 4, and if that stops him completely, then we probably win, because we get 2 bodies on field. Well, we get a body on field, and then hopefully our draw next turn is good. But yeah, that is our 4th and final round, and we do end up going a astounding 3-1 with having a bye again, but I'll take it. Love to see it.
All right, everybody, welcome to the wrap-up for the 4th and final week of One Deck, One Month, featuring Photon Galaxy here in Act 2. So, just to bring you guys up to speed on where I am at currently, it is the following week later plus 1 day. So it is Sunday. So it's been about 8 days since that locals we were just at has taken place. And I want to use this time to reflect on how that went and kind of go over the deck list and do what is mainly the purpose of this week and kind of reevaluate, right? And compare our week 1 list and compare it with our week 2 list. Did we address some of the problems that we were experiencing throughout the month, etc., etc. So this month has definitely been a little bit of a roller coaster in terms of the deck's performance. Things started off pretty good with our 3-1 finish, and then we kind of dipped down in weeks 2 and 3 by going X2, and then we brought it back here in the 4th and final week going 3-1 yet again, which is not the perfect 4-0 we were looking, but I'll take it, right? More store credit earned, more wins equals more money I donate to charity, so it's definitely a win-win all around. Even though, much like in week 1, we were able to go 3-1 this week because we got a bye in round 2. You know, a win's a win, right? I'll take it. Although I would have definitely preferred to have had a real opponent to test this new build of the deck out against. So, I mean, it is what it is, right? That Kashtira matchup was so very close. I mean, at least in game 1, had he not ashed the Hyper Galaxy, had I actually had Galaxy 0 in my main deck, the one time that card would have came up. But maybe, maybe I've already talked about it through some sort of sequencing. If I would have played things a little differently, who knows, maybe we could have actually secured game through some other means. And I think I definitely forgot a number 90 search a time or two now that I think about it. And again, I've probably already talked about this in some of the match analyses, but yeah, I definitely didn't play my absolute best, but I feel like the deck performed the best. And all the testing that I've been doing, even in this past week on my stream, the boards that this deck is putting up, its ability to play through things is definitely a little bit better. And I feel like, you know, those were some of the problems we were experiencing. And I feel like those problems are kind of happening less. Getting access to an Omni Negate, whether it be Regulus or Cyber Dragon Infinity, is definitely a really nice and welcome thing. No more automatically losing to evenly matched, which is great since a lot of people are on that card. Board breakers like Lightning Storm, etc., etc. It just feels good to have access to Omni Negates on our end board and get to them consistently. And let's take a look at our total month progress report here. So store credit earned, $30. I'll take it. That's more store credit earned than we did spend on tournament entries, right, for the 4 locals. Our locals record ended up being 10-6, not bad. I'll calculate the win rate and put that up on screen as well. And total donated money to charity by yours truly equaling $100. So hopefully that helps us get closer to our goal wherever we are at right now, because I won't be uploading this video until about a week later from when I'm recording this. So I don't know what the current progress of our donation goal is going to be. And remember, if you guys want, you can still donate up to a week after this video goes live so we can hit those donation goals. $250, we'll be doing a giveaway, 500 workout stream live on my Twitch channel, link below. $750, you guys, everybody at home, you guys get to vote on which deck I will cover in the next One Deck One Month. And if we hit the grand goal of $1,000 raised for the Clean Air Task Force, I will play Earthbound Immortal, a long running joke in my Discord. I will finally play this deck on a series of One Deck One Month. And yeah, that is going to be interesting. It'll definitely be a lot more challenging than Photon Galaxy for sure. I'm pretty sure if we hit that, I'll wish I would take playing Galaxy any day over playing that deck. But then again, who knows? There is some really cool level 10 support cards that have been randomly announced right around the time that we're doing this. So I mean, that's kind of a weird coincidence. But yeah, that's our progress report for the month. Pretty cool. Now let's take a look at the deck list. I know I didn't have time to talk to you guys about it before I ended up going to locals, and I apologize for that. It was just bad planning and scheduling on my part, which is, you know, kind of a common theme for me sometimes, especially when it comes to getting ready for locals and all the recording and stuff, and I'm often scrambling, right? Hopefully I can get better at that. But yeah, here's the list. It looks a lot different than the list that you guys saw me play for the tournament, and I forgot to screenshot the list, so I'm gonna have to rebuild it from memory. So hopefully everything is correct, but I think I should be able to piece it together. It's not super different, but yeah, a couple changes. The first being is that Advancer is in the deck. I originally wasn't gonna run it. I didn't really want to run the 3 Thrasher, just because like Thrasher is a card that you don't really want to see multiples of in the hand, although you do want to see it more often. But if I could, you know, make room and play a little bit more of a flexible card like Advancer, I'd figured I'd do that instead, although it's still kind of debatable whether or not I actually want to play or need to play him. Yeah, 3 Vanisher, standard. I love Vanisher. I added Brave back into the deck. That's another new addition. I feel like having Brave in the deck makes Galaxy Soldier that much more of a flexible extender, whereas in some cases I find that if you've already used your normal, you don't have access to your additional normal through Emperor, Galaxy Soldier becomes a lot worse because he really can't grab any valuable bodies that help you keep extending. And it has come up in testing over the past couple days on my stream where I didn't have Brave, and I was like, man, Brave really would come up right here, especially with playing the higher accounts, the level 4 guys. I feel like it kind of goes hand in hand. That all else looks pretty standard. 1 Regulus. I actually ended up cutting the Therion Bull. That card has not come up at all. I just don't think it's necessary. I think the one time I did use it, it like really didn't add much to the end board. You just kind of threw it on the end board to just do whatever with it. If it was a level 8, I would definitely consider it, but it is not a level 8. And going first is just not a card you're going to search ever. It's just literally in the deck just to be in the deck. I don't know. So I just didn't feel like it was a really valuable card to have in the deck. We don't need it. It's going to add to more brick hands, and we definitely don't need that. So I cut that. 3 Prosperity back in the deck. This is a deck that I've said time and time again, and I think I said this back in the first time we did One Deck One Month with the deck. I think this is single-handedly the best consistency card for the deck. Do you always need to banish 6? No. Should you always banish 6? No. This is a deck that you're probably going to consistently banish 3 with, right? You know, unless you're completely unplayable, then you got to go deep and banish 6. But there are definitely quite a few cards in here that you can afford to get rid of turn 1. Like the Cypher package, Zeus if you're going first at number 90. You could even get rid of the Infinity package depending on how your hand looks, right? because you don't always end up going for the infinity play. So it's oftentimes pretty easy to pick and choose what you need to get rid of. But most of the time, you can get away with getting rid of 3 cards, I've found. And you do have to get what you're banishing on prosperity down pat, because you don't want to be second guessing yourself and thinking, oh, I usually banish these cards, but right now I'm going to get rid of these cards, right? You got to get it down pat. Trade-in's great and all, but trade-in is way too inconsistent. I thought maybe more card advantage in general would be better for the deck, but trade-in in itself adds in inconsistencies where if I see Pot of Prosperity, I don't need to have any other specific type of card in my hand. I don't need a level 8 monster. I can just play it, dig 3 or 6 cards deep, hopefully find what I need, and play. So there's that. Imperm and Tactics are in the deck. I don't think they were before, but Tactics, I feel like with how fragile the deck is, how much hand traps impact us, having talents to either punish the opponent if they've hand trapped us incorrectly, rip a card out of the hand, right, or to be able to draw into more extenders mid-combo, or to be able to steal things to help go for game easier, get over roadblocks that are preventing us from attacking for game. And Imperm is just Imperm, right? I feel like you can't go wrong with Imperm. I was maining Nibiru because of its synergy with maining the 3 Hyper Galaxy, which I've also since cut down to 1. Same thing with the Galaxy Hunter. They're both searchable. I really wanted to keep them in the deck at 3, but some people in my Twitch chat ended up kind of talking me into it and, thinking over the next couple of days. I'm like, what, maybe I don't need these at 3 each, right? Because they do, some cases, end up leading to bad hands. And 100 is only as good as the rest of your hand, right? If you don't have Regulus, if you don't have any sort of way to already start playing, Galaxy 100 really doesn't do you any good just yet until we get Jumper. That way we can get a 1-card Galaxy Photon Dragon, which is going to be pretty nice. It's not all of the answers to the deck, but it's definitely going to be nice. And yeah, so Hyper Galaxy down to 1, which again, you could maybe arguably put in the side, but I like it in the main deck. It does have good implications going first and going second. And 100 at 1 has always been fine in my book, and what I've been playing it in the past. And yeah, that is pretty much it. Trance is at 1 again, but I feel like we can get away with 1 Trance now that we're playing the Regulus build, because usually we're going to try to go for Sargus for Regulus turn 1, and then we save that Galaxy Trance to really punch for game on turn 3, which we don't need the Trance now to make a decent board, and we can save that 1 copy for later. That was kind of a problem we were experiencing in the old builds. Extra deck is the same. I haven't needed to change the extra deck. Still Sargus, still Infinity and Nova, and everything else is fine. The only card I ended up cutting was the Cypher, is because you can't overlay Zeus on top of it, and full armor is still just good enough as a exchange pop. The side deck is where the changes have been made the most, and I honestly like the way the side deck looks. It looks really clean. I think 3 Droll and 3 Nibiru are going to be the type of hand traps that we need in this type of deck to really make it competitive. We have to be playing Nibiru for Cashier and stuff, and Droll and Lockbird is very, very good against a whole wide range of decks. Things like Mathmech and Rika, which are also becoming more popular, especially after the YCS. Lightning Storm is great. Helps us go into combo decks, help us go into back row decks. And I thought I needed more back row hate, but I feel like, for the most part, our deck excels pretty well at going into back row decks, especially things like Labyrinth and stuff, because we put up such huge bodies as is, and then sure, if they even have skill drain, I feel like we're okay, because their game plan is to flood us out from playing and beat us down with big bodies. But if we can get big bodies on field as is, right, then they're going to have a hard time really implementing their strategy against us. And that's one thing I've noticed in the past. Like, we're just putting up huge monsters that they necessarily can't deal with, even with certain trap cards, and we have Blast Dragon, etc., which already gives us a huge heads up. Number 90 not being able to be destroyed by card effects, which is also just huge against certain matchups. So yeah, I wanted to tone down on the evenlies and stuff, and move the Book of Eclipses out of the side as well, since we're already playing Nibiru. I feel like I was oversiding for certain matchups. Dimension Barrier and Gozen are in the side as well, as these are just some of the most unfair going first cards that we can put in this deck, and this is what this deck needs. It needs things that are necessarily unfair. I was super unsure about Gozen. I wanted to keep in some other cards like Evenly and Eternal Galaxy, but Gozen match against Sprite, against Cashier, and against Sword Soul, all decks that are pretty popular right now. I feel like I can't necessarily ignore having things like Gozen in the deck. And you could argue that it does conflict with the Therion stuff, and that may be true, but we could easily side out the Therion package going first against certain decks where Gozen just absolutely carries way more than a Regulus would, right? So, and it works perfectly with the siding patterns. We just drop out the 2 Disc Coliseum and the Regulus, put in a 3 Gozen, and we're pretty good, right? It just has to be against the right matchup, though. We're not always going to be siding out the Regulus package going first, especially because it's going to help make our end board better. But yeah, we'll see how the siding patterns work out if the ghost ends up staying, because again, it does conflict with stuff, and I don't like conflictions like that. But yeah, that is the list, and I think it's going to be the list that I continue to play going forward. I am going to be taking this deck to at least 1 or 2 more locals, just because I want to record some first-person stuff for you guys with the head camera, and, you know, give this deck one final send-off before I switch over to another deck in between now and the next One Deck One Month, which don't ask me what it is. I literally have no idea myself as I'm sitting here recording this. And hopefully within the next week, we can hit our $1,000 goal milestone, not only so we can take part in these amazing donation incentives, but so we can help fight climate change through helping out the amazing nonprofit organization that is the Clean Air Task Force. So thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart for joining me over the course of this series. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Put a lot of hours and a lot of effort into this series. And again, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And remember, if you can't donate, please feel free to share this video around to get more eyes on it. And as always, Winter Kills signing out. We'll see you guys in the next one. And like always, a huge thank you goes to our current Divine level channel members who are Misfid, HC8 Cyber, Cadillacs84, and Pony Stark. Thank you guys so much for your extremely kind and very generous support of this channel.